I think I grew in my role as husband, like in terms of intentionality, in terms of knowing what I'm doing. I always thought like I'm just gonna coast this thing. It's just gonna, hey, we're gonna be fine.
That's about crazy.
We're not gonna be fine.
Yeah.
She'll be like, let's talk about this. We don't have to talk about this. We're gonna be good. What are the plans for this and that? We're gonna be fine. Dude, that was me. I grew up in a family with a lot of failed marriages. So that brought insecurities, like at the beginning when we would have fights. I'm like, oh, another failed marriage.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like,
The husband always thinks, I know stuff is rough, but like, it's not that rough.
it's not that rough.
Yeah.
And your wife is like, dude,
Yeah.
one more day with you.
Yeah. I'm done.
I'm done. So it was one of those. And she was like, I'm done.
Sheesh, bro.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Blaque Nubon. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Blaque Nubon. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. Before we get into this episode, we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us. If you are new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're updated on every single episode we drop every Wednesday at 11:30. If you want to support us, you can do that in two ways. One, you can buy us coffee. There's a link in our comment section that you can click on, and you can buy as many coffees as your heart desires so that we are energized to keep on making more of this content. The second way you can support us is by booking me as a speaker or an MC for your next event, and that's at booking@blaquenubon.com. You can send us an email at booking@blaquenubon.com. The husband that's sitting across the table from me today is Sihle Xulu.
What's up, bro?
Abash.
Yeah, bro.
You.
Hey, that's all.
Yeah. Now
I'm feeling at home.
We're pulling from the depths now. We're calling you with code names
Yes,
now.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Krento.
Good, man. How are you?
I'm chilling.
It's been a minute. You good?
Bro. I was telling Sviso on Monday that, man, like, I can't. Did I need to have a podcast just so that we can have
Bro.
coffee?
That's life, though. That's life.
I know.
Yo, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it actually myself to say, man, there was a time we saw each other a lot.
Quite a lot.
And
yeah.
we like Timbisa, you know how
I know.
But yeah, I mean life is good to see you. Good to see
you,
things
bro.
are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we are.
Nah, for real, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for pulling
yeah.
through, bro.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks,
Thanks for
man.
the invite.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited, man.
it's
I'm
good.
excited for this chat. I wanted to get you on last year
Oh, cool.
because I think, was December 2023. I came to your church.
Yeah.
And then we had a brief chat.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, we should chat more about like
Yeah.
how we can.
Was that 2023 already?
2023, bro.
Yeah.
We had that chat
Yeah.
2023. And then it just plagued me the whole of 2024.
Yeah.
So I don't think I saw you the whole
Yeah,
of 2024. Yeah.
Man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, from seeing from afar,
Yeah.
for me, it just seems like you just like a busy guy.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like I don't even know where like you just seems busy. So
Yeah.
even this is like okay, cool. At least I'll get to see you.
Sure,
But yeah.
sure.
But at the same time, even with me,
It is.
with the church,
It is.
it's been a crazy year. Like
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
Like things accelerated a bit,
Yeah, quite a lot, bro.
specifically towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we're good.
Sure.
Family's good.
Yeah.
Wife is good. The kids are good.
It's dope, bro.
All good.
Yeah. You know, you brought the kid over. So
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the things like with the family, you know,
Yeah.
logistics. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You know.
Often go shoot on my podcast.
So I'm like, you know what? Beck will understand how
Yeah,
these things.
nah,
go.
totally, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, my kid is here as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like I mean,
good,
we're
bro.
trying to work on a calendar thing.
Yeah.
For the family, which is good. I mean, we sometimes we get it right, but sometimes it's just like I
Yeah.
didn't know about this,
Yeah.
and it's like, but and it's like, okay, no, I don't touch it,
Yeah.
because now I didn't know about this,
Yeah.
but it's all good.
bro, calendars are gonna not save your marriage, but they'll sustain them.
Yes,
It'll sustain your marriage, rather.
yes,
Because there's a
yes.
couple I know, they're turning 43 years
Wow.
this year. The wife, I think, retired 2 years ago.
Okay.
She-
43 years married.
43 years married.
wow, okay.
43 years married, yeah.
Wow.
They're in their 70s.
Wow.
And the wife, I think, retired from work 2-3 years ago. She ran her own business, and then she was like, man, I'm done for now until I see what the Lord has for me.
Yeah.
And then the husband retired from his formal job,
Yeah.
but now he moved into consultancy. And so I was like, man, 43 years later, what are the biggest struggles? And they're like, calendars.
Oh.
They're like, with every shift, so when you have kids, calendar's a big fight because you have to manage
Yes.
extramural activities. Where we taking this one? What are you doing? When the kids leave? It's like now we have to manage our work calendars. When are we meeting? Now after retirement, well, you still doing something there, And so I was like, smack, man.
The calendar. The calendar.
The calendar.
I mean, for us, so obviously we've got like, her job, my job in terms of ministry. And just like ministry that I'm doing, like meeting up with people, things I need to do with the church, and then ministry we're doing together, like meeting up with people together, and then you've got the kids, and then you've got like maybe like trips I've got. So it's
that's wild, bro.
And and some of the things that need to go from the calendar. It's just like you know what, there's like a lot now. We're not getting our time, and so that. But
there's a digital calendar. In fact, if there's a sponsor that makes calendars, please come talk to us.
Yes. Calendars. We need calendars. Calendars that work.
Bro. There's one I saw. It's a digital one.
Okay.
So then it's physical. You put it on your wall, your fridge, wherever you put it in the home.
Okay.
But it's digital so that you can link it to your Google Calendar. You can link it to emails, whatever. So whatever you put on the calendar is, just comes as a notification on your phone and your computer, wherever. You can put a thing in your phone, a date, book a time, and then it pops up in the family calendar.
Can we get a sponsor for that?
And we need that thing. Come on now. Right? Come on now. Man, we jump straight into it. This is dope. And normally before we get into things, I normally promo this book behind me.
Okay.
We trying to make this a free resource to give to young guys who are despondent when it comes to marriage, who don't see the value of husbandhood, but also brothers who are walking alone, who don't have the benefit of community. We're the closest thing to community in this podcast. And so we want to make that resource available for them. Season 1, we asked our guests to give us 2 names of husbands who either inspired you to get married or stay married, and their story, and then we put that there. Season 2, we have a different question.
Okay.
And we ask our guests to define what a husband is.
Okay.
So in your experience, what is a husband, man?
A husband is a married man.
Mic drop. Switch off cameras. Let's go.
Legally married man. I think there's so many. There's so much to double click there. But someone who's married to with his wife. But I think, it goes more than that. Like husband, from what I've learned, is someone who has intentionally but they intentionally decided to be present in their wives' lives, in their family's life, for the flourishing of their family and for the flourishing of their marriage. There's an intentionality about it that I've learned is quite crucial. So there's a sense, you could be a husband by name, you're married, you've got the ring, so to speak. But there's so much into it. I would say just an intentionality to love your wife. If you've got kids, to love your kids, and have a sense of, man, we're gonna roll together through thick and thin in making our marriage work, and we're gonna enjoy ourselves. And there's a sense of calling on it in it that I think God calls you into this in a very there's a sacredness into it. So that's how I'll see a husband.
That's dope, bro.
I'm sure there are more things into it as we chat.
Yeah, no, definitely, man.
yeah.
I think that's dope. That's
What do you
succinct.
think?
What do I think a
Yes,
husband is, man?
yeah.
No one has asked me so far.
There you go. You're not gonna get away with it. What do you?
so I think a husband, first and foremost, is a calling,
Yeah.
a privilege. I think it's a state of being.
Yeah.
You know. So before, I think even after. So I think it's firstly a gift, firstly a calling.
Yeah.
Once you receive that, man, and you wanna, to your point, intentionally live in that, then it's a state of being.
Yeah.
That you kind of, it demands a lot from
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
and so you have to live in every other area of your life. You have to live from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think obviously your primary foundation to how you show up anywhere in the world is God.
Yeah.
But second to that is this calling, is this gift. And so
Yeah.
if you're gonna intentionally live in
Yeah.
it and be in the state of being, I think then you can show up everywhere else in ways that are meaningful, that are healthy.
Yeah.
Because husbandhood, like you are leader of a church. You're not fully, and you can correct me, but you're not fully on as a church leader compared to being fully on as a husband, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm like, there's times when you just need to switch on your teacher's hat,
Yeah.
the church.
Yeah.
And there's times you need to switch on your pastoral hat, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a time where you need to switch on your admin hat.
Yeah.
But as a husband, all those hats are on,
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then the one that doesn't come naturally to us, which is your emotions, right? It has to be switched on all the time. So I'm like, man, your wife is not demanding your admin hat at one time.
Yeah.
Yes, it might be the thing that's the presenting tool in the conversation.
Yeah.
It might be the thing that you're leading with at a certain moment in time, but all of the things that make you a husband need to be switched on.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, it's a state of being.
Yeah.
I have to be this thing. As much as I'm becoming it, because I'm growing, but I there's an intentionality for me to always be awake to this calling and having to always be alert. Then when you add kids, I'm like, man, there's parts of you where you're like, I didn't think this thing existed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Man, I mean, that is so good. I think
Yeah.
you just got it there because even now, I mean, as you're saying this, I'm realizing, man, there's a sense like you carry this.
Yes.
Firstly, like just like the understanding that this is a gift.
Sure.
All of life is gift.
Yeah.
But there's something about also these gifts that God gives us that are special and a privilege.
Yeah.
And we carry them. And like being a husband, you carry this everywhere you are.
Everywhere.
And in fact, I would even think like even some of the way you show up in things.
Yes.
I mean, for me, like it's like with ministry, there was a time I don't even know when this thing switched on where I want to lead and I want to pastor out of my marriage, out of the healthiness of my marriage.
Come on, bro.
So wherever I am, whether I'm thinking through, is the church doing well? What do we need to do? What do we need to do? All of that, I'm thinking through. Is this gonna correlate with my marriage?
Man.
Yeah. So
hundreds,
it's something you carry with you, but it's a beautiful gift.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier on. I think you show up more healthy in all these other spaces.
Yeah.
If your base is solid.
Yeah.
If your base, which is your marriage, is healthy, bro.
Yeah.
What happens for you in the moment when that's not healthy? How do you come back to it? How do you rectify that?
Yeah.
Because no marriage this side of heaven. Is what Hollywood presents.
Yeah.
So now when Letabo is like, man, I really don't like you right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man.
And you have to go preach. Or worse.
Yeah.
Worse, you traveling.
Yeah.
Because you travel quite a lot.
do.
When you say I'm busy, I'm like,
I do.
You probably landed yesterday from somewhere.
No ways. No. I mean, in fact, I've tried to cut off traveling.
Sure.
If I do it, we do it together.
Yeah.
Especially like overseas travel.
Sure.
So we sort of do that together.
Sure.
But like locally, sometimes I'll travel on my own. But that is sort of died down a little bit.
Sure.
It's interesting now with the church and everything. There's a bit of momentum that we're gaining as a church, and that sometimes spills over to people thinking that somehow I know something now, and therefore, Sihle come, Sihle come, speak to our leaders. I'm like, dude, I don't know anything.
Before last week Sunday, I didn't know this thing was gonna happen.
You know what I mean? No, I don't know what happened. So anyway, that's another challenge that's coming through. But with regards to, I mean, you actually mentioned like the questions you don't ask now, the couple that sort of that you looked up to or things like that. And that for me goes together with when the marriage is not going well. Sure. Because man, I feel like when I talk about our marriage, there was a time where everything broke down. Sure. And we had to build from that, And I think it's an important place that most marriages need to go through. Sure. And I think, and for us, man, there was that time where it was like, I was like, I don't like you. Like, who is this in front of me? Like, I don't like this dude.
And my dislike is extended.
It's extended. It's
not a
and
day.
It's just like, no, no, I don't like you, and I don't just like. I don't know what's this. Yeah. And we really had to do a lot of introspection, and we had to speak to people. Yeah. And we, it happened that at the time we were doing a move from Durban to Joburg, and at the time we were thinking of the church plant as well. And we were like, you know what? Let's just start all over in terms of like our marriage. Right now we're in a transition in terms of like careers or whatever or whatnot. Yeah. And we got to speak to one or two people, some seasoned couples, and they were just super helpful for us. On In Confidence, if we can mention them. I mean, we were going to that church for like a residency, and they just, they took us in. They were like, you guys are, and we were able to speak. And sometimes it's just like just being able to speak to people. Sure. I mean, we're at the time we're at the place where we haven't spoke to anybody about our marriage. Yeah. It was just like, you guys are like in ministry. You guys are like pastoral couples. You guys are good.
You need to have all the answers.
You have the answers. And like, bro, we're crying. It's always like, I'm not canceling anybody. Because I've got nothing to say. We are for the. So
I don't believe in marriage right now.
It was crazy. But yeah, man, we just had people speak, into us, encourage us. I mean, I remember our first time with them. It was such a horrible session. Sure. When you try to, like the first session, you're trying to, this is where we are and whatnot. I'm thinking we're not that bad. Yeah. Sometimes
why is it always the husband who thinks? The husband always thinks, I know stuff is rough, but like it's not that rough.
It's not that rough. Yeah. And your wife is like, dude, one more day with you.
Yeah. I'm done.
I'm done. So it was one of those. And she was like, I'm done.
Sheesh, bro.
And I was like, but I didn't know it was like this bad.
Yeah, we had McDonald's.
We were fine. Like, you laughed at my joke when we were driving here.
I'm laughing because that's so real, bro. I know that.
Yeah. And now she goes there, she's crying.
Sheesh, bro.
This I can't do another day. Yo. But man, that was like God working through all of that, the people that were able to speak to us. And that changed everything. That changed everything, and we were able to build from there. And I mean, we're not on top of a hill or anything, but like we good. And God has been good. And again, I'm saying we're good. Maybe we're not.
Maybe she'll watch this and be
you
like,
know what I mean? Yeah,
pause.
Like, pause.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was it was a thing we had to do, even just to speak to people. And again, going back to your question, because I mean, we just realized that like it's just hard to do much and be effective in anything when things are not good at home.
Come on, bro.
And it was just like, my wife has her own like whether it's like businesses she's trying to get into other stuff. I'm trying to do other stuff with ministry but like all of those things, they're an extension of who we are
happening at home,
and what's happening at home. So when things are like horrible here,
bro,
it just feel like nothing is working.
Shucks, man.
And it's just So that's
what's happening to you? Because like, so I'm like, man, you're supposed to be at that point, this church leader, you're gonna go plant, and we think things are fine.
Yeah.
And I think, man, you could correct me here, but like those first few years of you trying to figure out, is this what I'm called to do? How is it gonna look like? Those are crucial years.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of weight just at an individual level on your shoulders. And so now you're sitting with this couple and your wife is bawling her eyes out.
Yeah.
Man, like, where are your insecurities? What's happening with your confidence?
Bro.
What's happening in your relationship with the Lord?
Yeah.
What kind of prayers are you praying?
Yeah. Bro. you know, I think maybe, this is to speak broadly with ministry.
Yeah.
Because I think with ministry, what can happen? Like ministry, when you're doing ministry, you are the person who's trying to tell people how good God is, how reliable are the scriptures, how beautiful the gospel is. You are the one, like, you're telling people all of that. And like you have to eat what you advertise. Like that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like you gotta do that. And it's so easy. It is so easy. I remember this preacher who said they grew up like loving this basketball player because he was advertising this like brand of cereal. And they ended up eating the cereal. Like he was still young and he's eating the cereal because his favorite basketball player eats the cereal. And then it happens that his father was also a preacher, and they were invited him to come speak at this basketball team's sort of training or something like that.
Yeah.
So he took him with his father came with him, and they got to meet these basketball players. And they were there like at this places where they're eating. This dude is not eating this cereal. That is advertising. So like
he's
this
eating
guy,
lettuce.
He's eating something else. Now this guy, he's a young dude, just a teenager, and you were so shocked. And like, bro, like disappointed. Like I've been eating this thing because of you.
My dog.
And now you're eating something else. And for him, obviously, he's making a point to say, like, as preachers, dude, we need to advertise. We need to eat what we advertise. Yeah, because like a lot of people look up to us and now they're changing their whole lives because of what we have said. And it's so easy for ministry to just be like, man, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to show up a show face. I'm going to be like, God is good. I'm going to be like, it's all good. And you can, even like you could be falling apart. Your relationship with the Lord is like at the bottom. But like you got to show up. A lot of things depend on this and this and that. And some people can push that for years. And I think for us, like we decided we're not going to do that. Like we're going to try and put that gap back as soon as we see it. Like our lives, who we are when we come to church is who we are.
Come on, man, at home.
And we're really, and my wife was really instrumental in that. She said, we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna deal with things when they're not. when they're falling apart, we're not just gonna be showing up and it's like, oh, it's all good. Which for me, like sometimes, like I'm like some places, I'm like, come on, like sometimes we can, you don't have to keep it real all the time, Sometimes we're just gonna be like, we're seeing people, it's all good, we're good. And so my wife is like, we have people over, and sometimes it's just like a fight has just broke up or whatnot, and now people are here, and my wife will tell them, we're just recovering. I'm still not talking to him.
I'll make him tea because it's polite.
But it's just so you guys know whatnot. And she'll be polite, obviously. We'll talk to people. But we've always tried to bridge that gap.
That's real, man.
Because, man, you can just, for ministry, you can live a double life easy. And what another thing that makes it even easier to do that for ministry is that somehow, I don't know how God works these things. somehow God doesn't take away the gift,
Yes.
even when things are horrible behind the
Yes.
scenes.
Yes.
So you could be like, bro, I'm not talking to my wife. This thing is
Yep.
happening. My mind is all over the place. And on Sunday, I'm killing it.
Your ministry is thriving.
Yeah.
Yep.
People are just like, oh, pastor,
Yep.
this and that. And you're just like, man, I can keep going with this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't, it has to come from you.
Hundreds, bro.
To be like, man, I'm gonna bridge this gap. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
bridge this gap.
Yeah.
I think it's Paul Triple calls it like the gospel gap.
Whew.
You know,
Yeah, come on, bro.
who you are right now and where you're trying to
Where
go,
you're trying
and
to go.
where God has you to go, and we really want to try, especially in terms of your marriage.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was Martin Morrison, who used to caution us with that. You
Yeah.
know, and it's like, man, listen, the dangerous thing about ministry is that you could be a corpse
Yeah.
and this thing is thriving.
Sure.
It's not like any other job.
Yeah.
Right? In any other job, if you're not showing up, man,
Yeah.
this thing is gonna collapse.
Yeah.
Right? Your manager, your line manager might be like, man, I see that you're slacking.
Yeah.
What's happening there, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Right? You're
Yeah.
not actually delivering the thing. But here I'm like, man,
What's going on?
you're a tool in ministry, right? And God is doing all the work.
Yeah.
And so this thing could look amazing, boy. But you are a zombie, man.
Yeah.
Yo,
If you're a soccer player, if you're not training,
Yeah.
you're gonna see it.
You're gonna see it.
You're gonna see the full out. This guy.
Easy.
Yeah, you're gonna be like
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah, yeah.
20
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
done.
easy, bro.
You see, because he didn't train.
Yeah.
Like, but with ministry, you
Easy.
could not be in the word, you could not be in prayer.
Yes.
And somehow you're just working from experience.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You're prepping sermons from competency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you've learned how to break down texts and you
All
can
of it.
easily
Yeah.
come perform.
Yeah.
Man, that thing is real.
Crazy.
That thing is real, dog.
Crazy.
But you guys, you mentioned, your move from Durban.
Yeah.
To come here.
Yeah.
And when I think of your story and part of why I wanted us to chat,
Yeah.
is all those moves.
Yeah.
You guys kind of did a couple of moves,
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, yo, man, like, I don't know how
Yeah.
you as a husband
Yeah.
kept on convincing your wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know this. All wives need security.
Yeah.
All wives need stability.
Yeah.
It's just innate in them. That's how God wired them.
Yeah.
And we tend to have a higher appetite for risk, adventure, wanting to do things. But in your case, there is that. But man, there's a move and a leading from the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, now I have to go to my wife again and
And
say,
say,
by the way,
I had the voice again.
how are we sure that this is God's voice and it's not just your own ambition, dog? Like,
yeah.
you just want to do the next thing.
You know what I mean?
You're excited by this other thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, how do you,
Yeah.
what chats do you have with her? How do you convince her? How are you even convinced that, man,
This is
this is
Yeah.
the thing we're supposed to do now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. We've got 3 kids. All our kids were born in different cities.
Yeah.
so it's exactly.
Yeah.
Our daughter born in Durban.
Yeah.
Our son born in Pretoria. Our third daughter in
it
Joburg.
shows. Yeah.
That's like our journey.
Yeah. Right there. Just
right there. But bro, it was crazy, man. Like, I think at the beginning it was all good.
Sure.
And there was a sense because like we got married in 2016.
Yeah.
After that, we were planning our wedding when I was still at theological college.
Yeah.
And looking to get back and get married.
Yeah.
And the whole plan was, okay, we're gonna get back, we're gonna get married, and we're moving to Durban because there's work that has come that side in terms of ministry. So there was like a thing that we've spoken about, and we're all good with that. Cool. Even with that though, no, again, we're talking about that before we get married. It's like, okay, the wedding is coming up. After the wedding,
Sure.
we have a honeymoon in Drakensberg somewhere, and we're not coming back.
Yeah.
Basically, we're not coming back. So we're good with that.
Yeah.
So that happened, the wedding. We moved to Durban.
Yeah.
And even with the move to Durban, man, because like she was working here.
That's another thing I was thinking, that
she was working
she's not
here.
just uprooting her life to follow you, but her work.
Yeah, her work. She was working here. She had a good gig going, and as it happened, I remember we were going to just before the wedding, we were going to see my mom down in KZN.
Yeah.
we just that weekend happened to be the weekend. She applied for another job in KZN because we were looking to move there,
Yeah.
and they had an interview for her around the same weekend. So we did that interview, and she got the gig like in Durban, like a very like something she's really been like dreaming of. She was like a trend researcher for this big company. That was like her dream job.
Yeah.
You know, so we're so happy. Like she's got that. I've got this. You know, with ministry, we're good.
Yeah.
We've got a nice spot in Durban. We're good, and
all green flags.
Man, it's all good.
Yeah.
2 years later, in fact, I mean, we moved like after 2 years, but like the conversation started earlier than that. I think the beginning of the second year, where it was like, man, things are sort of not turning out the way we thought they would, and I'm speaking to a couple of people, seeking advice, seeking counsel, and everyone is just like, man, you don't want to start ministry like this, because like we were in a place where it was just difficult, like where we were, just ministry, things were just difficult, and we knew that, man, when things are difficult like that, it affects the marriage.
Totally.
So like even like it's our first year now for us. We didn't have like a honeymoon kid, but like we were pregnant like in 2 months after we got married.
It's just bricks upon bricks upon bricks. Moving city, getting married, new job, pregnancy, new church.
Crazy.
Sheesh.
It was crazy. Crazy. So all of these things at once, you know, ministry's hard.
Yeah.
It has like my first ministry, like proper, like in a church. I'm leading a church. Yeah. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, it's crazy, you know? So we're starting to talk to people and like, man, listen, maybe start something else. Like maybe we've been thinking about church planting at that time. So we're like, maybe we need to accelerate that and start doing it at, you know, the sooner the better. Yeah. Maybe start thinking of the residency somewhere we can go do a residency. So that conversation was starting in that second year.
Are you having this conversation with other people and her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just
it's not just sort of with her. So I'm having this conversation and coming back and saying, hey, here's what
is there any pushback from her? And the reason why I ask is because once, you know, you start conversations that would be life altering.
Yeah.
Man, and let me not even project this fear on other husbands. For me, I'm like, I'm scared to go tell my wife because I know how life altering this thing is. Yeah. And we just made a life altering decision 2 years before. Yeah. And we just settling in. Now I have to come and say, man, we're gonna. So I'm like, let me finish talking to Sihle. Yeah. Pray about it, settle, you know. So, but you doing it simultaneously.
Yeah. It was like trying to speak to people, coming back to her. She was also like, there was a sense like she's open to moving, but at the same time, and she was loving her work. She was at the best time in terms of her work. Yeah. Also, one of the reasons she loved the idea of going to Durban, when we were moving to Durban, is that we met here in Joburg. Our life has been here in Joburg. We had so many people we knew here in Joburg. And she used to say this to me. She's like, man, I was so happy, you know, moving to Durban with you when we got married, because now it's a different season of our lives. We're now married with different people. The people that I've known before knew me as this single person hustling, doing this, doing that. I'm not that person anymore. I've got things sorted out. I'm married, all of that stuff. So I do appreciate us being in a different city where we can be different people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now...
So it's the freedom of discovering what this newness is.
Exactly. Without this whole thing of your friends are here, this and that. Like, let's just go do something on the side. Now going back to Joburg was like, man, we're going back to that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we're going to get there. And there was just a sense of fear to say like, our friends are there, all of that stuff. So if we're having problems, whatnot, all of these people are going to be speaking to us. You're going to just go to your friends and all of that. In Durban, it's just us, you know?
Figure it out.
You know, figure it out, you know? Yeah. So there's a sense of comfort here, you know, which sometimes can be unhelpful in terms of when you're trying to navigate some of those things. So yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But there was a sense that when we made the move, and obviously there were financial
Yeah, implications.
Implications.
Yeah, hundreds, bro.
Yeah, and to be honest, for that move, things were not clear financially.
When you left KZN
When we
to
left
come back.
KZN to come back, like we were not clear. God was so kind.
Yeah.
Because even with her, we moved here, nothing. She had no job. She just sort of resigned there.
Yeah.
In fact, like another thing, maybe let me not skip this. When she mentioned to her boss that, hey, looks like we're moving next year, I'm gonna have to resign. Her boss said, listen, I know people, especially like designers and people who do the work, they don't want to come down here in Durban because we don't pay that much. Shout out to Durban. We don't we don't pay that much and we lose people.
Sure.
But tell you what, we're gonna triple your salary. I'm telling you. They gave her an offer.
Yeah, I'm divorcing you. See. At last, if I'm her, I'm like, man, this is between you and God. This move stuff,
bro. I can tell you now. I hope you guys, if you need to cut this, and maybe I'll have to get it to skip this part.
Sure.
Because it still comes back to her.
Yeah.
That decision, especially when you're facing stuff and whatnot.
Sure.
Because that offer still comes back to be like, man, that was the best offer ever.
Yeah.
Had in front of me.
Man.
And you know, we stuck together as a family and we moved. But bro,
PS is not sufficient. You need to get like
yeah. So now and again it's like, remember that. But yeah, you know, and so there was one of the things. In fact, at the end, we were good, and then when they did that at work, it was then like, oh, okay, like
the ground beneath you opened.
Yeah, and it was like, can you really do it another way? And there was another pastor. We both know him, but I won't mention him. Who also was like, bro, you can come on stuff here. Another church in Durban. You can come on stuff here. Let's work this stuff.
Sure.
It was so. Now that I think about it, it was so hard. It was so hard.
I think I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
I remember that chat.
Dude,
I do.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was but we had already spoken with different people.
What was the pull for you?
The pull was the church plant.
Okay.
The pull was the church plant.
Sure.
It was something that church planting here in Joburg.
Yes.
Because that's what I knew.
Yes.
I sort of knew even the burden to plant came from what I've seen in the city.
Sure.
The church spaces I've been involved in and the change that God has the change that I was needed, that I think I needed from the tradition that I come from in terms of church. Man, we need to do some things differently in this context. Yeah. So I don't think I can do that in Durban. I don't think I can do it, but like I feel like I can only do that here.
Sure.
So and I was really trying to explain that to say if I just don't see us planting in a different place. Man. I think now we can if we would move somewhere else because I've had the blueprint of that.
Sure. I always describe it this way from an artist perspective, that there's always that first album that an artist needs to get out of their system. Yeah. Right. And once that's out, then you're kind of free to, I could take a bit of what I did in that first album in track number 1. I could replicate it and do it this way there.
You can play around with stuff.
Yeah. But until you get that first album out of your system, man's going to plague you.
Exactly.
You just have to do that thing, get it out, If you listen to most, especially independent artists, you listen to their first album, you can tell all their influences. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because that stuff has been birthed from the burdens, the passion that you have, the thing that woke you up, to music, in your case, to ministry. Yeah. And so it's like, I have to see this thing through. Yeah. If I don't, this thing's going to chase me. Yeah.
So even with artists, you will look back at, artists, their first albums is the albums that define them.
Define who they are.
Illmatic.
Blueprint,
Jay-Z. All of these guys, it's just like, and they sort of, everything
launches from there.
Yeah. So even for, definitely, that's a good one. For us, it was like, man, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do it here and all of other factors. So, eventually she came along. And
Mm.
I mean, we really had to put some incentives as well to say, man,
Yeah.
and she was like, bro, make it work.
But God, like you have to help us like love our wives. Yo, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
the
just
level
like,
of
you know what?
sacrifice, man.
Yeah, man. She
Sure.
sacrificed a lot. She sacrificed a lot.
Sure.
She continues to sacrifice.
Yeah,
Sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
Like in a ministry space, the person who gets the shine is me.
Sure.
But she's the one calling the shots. And sometimes I tell the church, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
you guys are giving me all the flowers. If only you knew.
Yeah.
My wife makes all the decisions here.
Sure.
But that's a story for another day.
I saw the post where you on her birthday.
Yeah.
That's the sentiment that
exactly.
Yeah. Sure.
So we came through, and again, things worked out.
Sure.
We got to we were in Pretoria at the time.
Yeah.
We settled, and we had another little one there.
Yeah.
And but the good thing about Pretoria though, which made the third move easier, was that we knew it's like a pitch stop to somewhere else.
Okay.
It wasn't like we knew we were
so
not.
It was clarified.
It was clarified to say, you know what, we're going to plant here in Joburg, but we need to start here before we go. So that was a bit clearer.
Was the duration defined?
It was.
Okay.
It was to say we're going to do a year.
Okay.
We're going to do a year, and then we're going to Joburg.
Cool.
So that made the third one quite easier.
Yeah,
the third one was easier. We were, we did the year. And there was a difficulty in it in terms of like she couldn't really make friends the way she wanted to because we're going to move.
We're moving.
You know what I mean? Like we can't really like put things down and be like,
Sure.
because we're moving.
Yeah.
So there was a bit,
Sure.
to say, oh, okay, we're in this beautiful church, but at the same time, I can't really invest in friendships and community.
Sure.
Because we're going somewhere else. So I think that was a difficult part. And then we moved to Joburg, and I pray we're not moving anywhere.
I mean, at some point in this chat, we're gonna get into renewal, and I'm like, man, you just moved into a lovely space. And I would hope for the sake of the city you don't move.
I hope so too.
I
hope so too.
But before we get there, man, with all of this stuff, you having babies, man.
Babies are good, bro.
No, they are. They're amazing. Babies are, babies are the first time I questioned God's definition of what a blessing is. I was like, God, I think you have a different definition. This thing doesn't feel like a blessing right now. The screaming thing, this thing that's demanding all my time. Ooh. I'm like, you're upside down kingdom stuff, right?
I've got 3 blessings.
Yeah. There was a time you told me your son was wrestling with the girls, and you were like, just relax, dog. Like, they girls, okay? Stop jumping on your mom. What are you doing? But the thing is, I'm like, man. And here's the thing, I'm asking you to speak into, the hearts of many husbands who fear just adding another kid because of how crazy seasons seem to be.
Yeah.
And yet the encouragement is that like life is never going to be easy.
Yeah.
So we can't just delay kids because we're like, man, stuff is hectic.
Yeah.
But you doing that in the midst of moving cities.
Yeah.
The midst of clarifying the vision God has given you.
Yeah.
In the midst of again, asking your wife to sacrifice big parts of her own dreams, her own, purposes that she thinks, God has instilled in her. These are things that give her life.
Yeah.
You asking her to sacrifice big stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're like, sure, we can raise other humans while we're trying to plant a baby here as well.
Bro.
How do you navigate babies, man?
Man. Interestingly, I think I heard someone on this podcast mention that like one of the things they didn't want for their marriage was that they didn't want like things to feel like they're holding back their wives from the best person they were supposed to be. Now they are the less.
Yeah.
There could have been something, big, so to speak. But now because of their marriage, now they're just getting crumbs.
Sure.
And for me, that was literally the same thing. It was literally the same thing. Like, my wife is super talented in different ways. And with all the moves and all of that stuff, I started feeling like that. I'm like, man, like, I'm holding back my wife. It's all about me and what
I'm the one with the calling.
I'm the one with the
vision.
calling, with the vision, And bro, yeah. So that was a thing that I was also wrestling with.
Yeah.
And I still wrestle with.
Yeah.
To say, like, even like, I feel like now I'm just in a place where, like, if my wife, I'm just saying yes.
Yeah.
If she's saying, I think I've got this idea. And my wife has like 10 million ideas.
Yeah. No, she's a creative, bro. She's I get it,
Dude.
I get it. That's probably 80% of where my marriage exists.
Yeah.
But it's from both of us.
Bro, I don't know how you guys do that.
So from us, it's like, okay, there's 100 ideas. Which two are we killing? Because we are gonna do the 98 ideas. We're gonna do them, even if it costs us. We're gonna do them.
But I think you guys, because you both creatives, there's a sense that you know each other. You know that you're gonna have ideas.
Yes.
Like, so I'm not wired like that. I'm like, you take something, you stick to it.
Yeah.
Here's the road. Let's just drive here.
Sure. Yeah.
That's it. And for her, she's like,
Mashama
don't look on the other side. We've got our point. Let's go.
Yeah.
So she'll wake up at 3 a.m. She's like, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do with this. You know what? I'm changing this. I found a name for this.
Yeah.
You had a name for this 3 weeks ago. I like that name. We did a logo for that thing. And now we have to change it. Anyway, that's like another tangent. I think we could go. But it's fun at the same time. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it was that to say, man, I really don't want to hold it back.
Sure.
And so, man, I really want to see her flourish.
Yeah.
And I really want us to be going in the same pace, even with everything that I'm doing.
Sure.
So even with the kids, man, like we've always wanted to have a big family.
Yeah.
So it was one of the things that we really wanted. So it was just a matter, man, how do we work with we continue with ministry, all of the things we're doing, but at the same time, we're having babies, all of that stuff. I think now we look back on it like, man, we didn't calculate properly because these guys are expensive.
They are, bro.
They're expensive, bro. They're expensive. How many times have you guys dreamt of going to live in the hood again?
Bro.
That's me. I'm like, hey man, like I think a 4-room in the house won't be a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Hood, yeah, it would be a bad idea right now.
Going out just like on a Sunday after church.
No, forget it. Forget it. What are you doing?
Dude, Papachinos, all of the sport, like
it.
3 kids.
Yeah. Forget it. Guys, we're all gonna have one chip each. We're buying one plate of chips and we're all sharing it. We just came here for the jungle gyms, okay?
Bro, those folks know us.
Yeah.
When we get there, 1 pizza, 3 plates.
Yes, please. Done.
1 milkshake,
Yeah.
3 cups.
Come on, Doug.
Bro, we're waiting for that.
Yeah,
It's still coming.
yeah.
Money coming.
Yeah.
So we'll be fine. But man, it's been a good journey though.
That's
like
good, bro.
with everything, we wouldn't change it for the world.
Come on, man.
It's been beautiful journey to see them grow, to have this gift of being able to disciple them. Just nurture their hearts towards the Lord. It's been beautiful.
Sure.
For me anyway, I think for my wife grew up with a mother and dad, like married parents. I didn't. So for me, like a marriage, I grew up in a family with a lot of failed marriages. So like marriage was like a thing for me to say, is this gonna work out?
Sure.
So that brought insecurities. Like at the
Sure.
beginning when we would have fights, I'm like, oh, another failed marriage.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like,
Spirits
I
are
didn't want to
like,
build my uncle. I'm now like you know what I mean? Like one of those where it's like, yeah, the spirits are like, like what's going on? It got me, you know? So it was, and to be honest, like my wife had to speak to me about it to say, hey,
sheesh,
listen,
man.
we can have arguments, we can have this,
Yeah.
but like we are in this together.
Yeah.
You know, you
Close
don't have
the
to
door. What
Close
do you
the
do?
door.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to fear, you know?
Yeah.
And so even with regards to now
Sure.
having kids and like kids with mom and dad
Together.
in this family who are gonna love them, invest in them, you know, open the Bible with them, and you know, have fun with them. I'm still learning that.
Sure.
You know, I'm still learning
Sure.
that just because I feel like I started on a minus.
Sure.
And I had to come and, you know. So my wife all the time will have to like call me, hey, the family is here. You know, because I'm like, I'm doing stuff on my own, you know. And I was the only child.
Yeah.
So it was
yeah. Minus.
minus. I'm just like,
Sheesh, bro.
I just, you know, it's like, no, we're chilling as a family. We're eating it as a family. All of that. Just like simple stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I had to learn. Just to say, hey, we're going to get together on the table. How was your day? How's things going?
Sure.
Let's pray together. Let's open up. You know what I mean? All of those things.
Yeah.
I just like, it's like, was new.
Sure.
And it was like starting from scratch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we learn as we go, bro.
That's dope, bro.
We learn as we go, and I pray that, like, I really pray that God will help us in really getting to a place where that is normative.
Sure.
Where it's just like, it's not, you know, we see this once in a while.
Yeah.
It's just normal to see healthy families.
Yeah. But that's why I'm
Yeah.
doing this thing, bro.
Yeah, man.
So I'm doing this thing, brother. I'm
Yeah.
like, if we can get husbands to be at home and be at home, present, doing healthy things, man, we'll change this country, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I did a marriage talk for one of our sister churches, your C4, you probably know, Faraya.
Yeah.
And I think they probably had like 30 couples that were there.
Yeah.
You know, and so the guy who opens the session is like, man, like this is such a blessing to see 30 couples who came for a marriage talk. You know, how great is going to be our impact as a church for the Bryanston area. They're in Bryanston. Yeah. If we have 30 healthy marriages where families are going to be built from these marriages, you know, kids are going to come from these marriages, and man, we're just going to have a great impact.
Yeah. It's a crazy investment.
Yeah.
Beautiful investment.
So I'm like, man, with my wife's own sacrifice, she's allowed me to do this thing. Yeah. This guy as well, you know, and his wife is allowing us to do this thing.
Beautiful. This is
because we like, man, we wanna just help change the status quo by empowering husbands. You know? And
I mean, I will say, like, I've just loved. Just shout out to you guys. I've just loved the truth and the encouragement that I've seen on the podcast. The beauty that goes with it. This is quality. This is beautiful stuff. You know, sometimes I'm always an advocate of that beauty and truth don't have to be you know, apart. They can go together. You know, and this, you know, in fact, there's something that beauty. Not that it adds to truth. Truth is truth. But at the same time, there's something about when the truth looks beautiful. Yeah, and it's convincing.
There's an attractiveness there, bro.
Yeah. So big up to you guys, man. This is good stuff.
Appreciate it, bro.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Hey, what's up? Blaque Nubon here from That Husband Podcast, speaking to you about Beans and Bonds, our 5th edition. Can you believe it, man? We are on number 5. It's been so amazing to have Beans and Bonds and to have you in the room. From number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it is happening again right here at Christchurch Midrand. What are we talking about, man? We are speaking about things that we could not say as boys. Now that we are men, now that we've been holding all these things, and unfortunately we are bleeding on our wives and everybody else around us, church, in our social environments, at the workplace, man, we need to come through and speak about things that have been so heavy in our hearts. Man, in light of all that's happening in June, from Man's Mental mental health to Father's Day to Youth Day, all of it packed in June. And so in light of that, we decided to focus on the blurry line between vulnerability and transparency. How can we encourage each other as men to move away from just saying facts about our lives, but move into a more in-depth space when it comes to our emotions and our mental health? How do we make sure that we get to that path together? And we have an incredible lineup. You guys have seen him on the podcast, DJ Mgabe Makabaza, dropping incredible gems. Man, we've interacted with him on TikTok, on Instagram. People have just been saying how incredible he is, how wise he is. And so he's going to be in the room. Sunny Jobotwana is also going to be there. Close friend of ours. She's an actress and she's going to be performing some amazing pieces for us on that day. Make sure that you are booking your seat right now. Invite somebody who you know will benefit from this conversation. If you're a husband, you're a man, this is definitely for you. If you're a wife, you're aspiring to be married, but you know men who will definitely benefit from this, invite them into the room. Beans and Bonds happening right here at Christchurch Midrand, the 28th of June. We're starting at 9:30 and we'll finish at 1 p.m. Come through. It's going to be incredible. Just make sure that you are booking your spot. Book now, book now, book now, book now. All right, peace.
There's something about when the truth looks beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's convincing.
There's an attractiveness there, bro.
Yeah. So big up to you guys, man. This is good stuff.
Appreciate it, bro.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I was just thinking now as you were talking, you guys are 9 years in this year.
Yeah.
And what's the age gap between you and Letabo?
8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what I remember is you were, in your late 30s.
Yeah.
When you got married to her.
Yeah.
But the thing why that's so significant
Yeah.
for me to remember is I think we were only 2 years, me and my wife were 2 years in.
Mm.
And when you guys said you're gonna get married, like you called us to say, hey, I remember driving away thinking, what is he asking me? Like like Nintona, I don't know what he's asking me.
Yeah.
But there was such a sincerity between the two of you.
Yeah.
Where you could probably tell me. I don't know what you saw in us.
Yeah.
We're just 2 years in.
Yeah.
And was it Brightwater Commons where I think it was. I forgot the restaurant.
Yeah.
But there was an upstairs area.
Yes.
Where we went and we sat there, and you guys were like, "Oh yeah, we're thinking, doing this marriage thing." I think your wife was staying close to, is it Montgomery Park but somewhere by Base Notia.
Yes.
Somewhere close.
Yes.
I remember picking up there and we were
Yeah.
together. And so in the car, I'm saying to my wife, why these guys ask, like,
what's happening?
why did they ask us? Like, what do we know? Like, I'm a clown, though. Like, I'm just a clown, though.
Yeah.
But I was taken aback by that, and just like the seriousness that you guys, were like, man, we want to consider this thing.
Yeah.
And so I say all of that to say, some conversations I probably wasn't even privy to after that. Questions I wanted to ask.
Yeah,
Now I'm like,
yeah,
now you're on the pod, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Let
Let me ask you this in front of everybody. I've always wanted to ask you this.
We're here now. But I was like, how did you navigate the age thing?
Yeah.
I had fantasies, and I say fantasies because I didn't think them through. I had fantasies of marrying somebody 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Right? But when I look back, I'm like, I think it was a statement my dad made. Like, marry someone young.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. Okay, right? But and then when I saw you guys, but obviously, like, the level of maturity between you guys is like, man, you guys, spiritually, age-wise, just the wisdom that you guys possess,
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that you were thinking of in terms of the age gap?
Yeah.
Getting married later.
Yeah.
What were some of the things where made you wait that long?
Yeah.
And why did Letabo decide to shut the cash?
Joe.
She's creative, she's beautiful, she's smart.
I think that's a damn cash.
Yeah. Nile.
You know, normally sometimes, I mean, the stereotype of that is like, well, you can't help them, Mali.
Yeah. and by the way, side note, I'm like, man, you the freshest dude.
Oh,
There's
man.
another dude we've had on the pod, Tepo. Tepo turned 40 this year. I was like, man, if you told me you were 26, I'd be like, yeah, sure. You're a very mature 26-year-old, but I believe you. Right? So even you, I'm like there's always a freshness about you, bro. I'm like, like, where's this incense that you this fountain?
You can, I mean, the looks can be deceiving or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because like when you wake up in the morning, it's like
no, I feel that.
Yeah. Things are breaking everywhere. So
yeah. You know, when you get out of the shower and as you're drying yourself, you make that sound. Yeah, that's when I'm like, life insurance time.
It's crazy. Yeah. And like, just like I'm getting tired a lot easier.
Sure.
I mean, now I'm like running and all of that stuff. So I'm trying to keep fresh. But like, still, like, you know, I don't know how many times it's just like 2 minutes into Netflix or whatever. She's just looking at me, she's like, dude. You know what I mean? It's like it's one of those. It's one of those. But to get serious about it, to be honest, I don't think we thought about the age gap that much.
Sure.
Cause man, we were kicking it. Like we were really gelling. Like we were because before we got married, our relationship was very complicated. Like we had like when we liked each other, we didn't tell each other, and it was like, and then we did, but then it wasn't clear. It was
messy.
It was messy. It was messy. Yeah, it was messy. But at the same time, what we knew was, man, we really get along well.
Sure.
I just love her. I love what she's about. I love what she's trying to do everything. She's just like, yeah. And the same thing with her. Like there was just like, man, and like, you know, spiritually, all of those things. I think it was actually later when we like, actually we've got a gap. And it was like, oh, okay. What do we do with that? But like it was at the time it wasn't a factor.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, let's just go with this.
Sure.
But I think in the marriage, it became something. Then it was like, oh, okay. You know, just in terms of how we want to spend our time, in terms of like the urgency of things, in terms of like, I'm going to die soon. Let's do this before I die. So for her, it's just like,
I have time.
I've got time. So, you know, but like there were things where it's just like we've got different views on certain things.
Sure.
But I think it hasn't been like a big factor, just in terms of whether it's parenting, whether it's this. I mean, it could be like an energy factor now, like playing with the kids. It's like, we'll be just like, bro, I can't be carrying you the whole day. Bro, like, you know, with the kids, like they want to play again and again. It's just like, dude, I did this twice, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, no, he wants to play. Yeah. So maybe that's the gap right there, you know? So, but otherwise, man, we've always got along.
Sure.
She, you know, and maybe the part of like her being fresh with ideas, just because she's a creative, she likes to do things like that. Maybe part of that, like for me, just being serious to say, no, let's take something and stick to it. We don't have much time, probably. You know, that's what I'm thinking. Let's consolidate what we have.
Sure.
You know, you know, and let's, you know, our use of money on all of that. Like, let's not spend much. Let's do that. Let's do that because we don't have, you know, I'm, you know, probably more serious about things in terms of like spending this and that. For her, she like, let's explore this. Let's do this.
This idea is going to make us money.
You know what I mean? And I'm like,
it's the 10th one now.
You know what? Let's just get the kids to school. We need to get the kids to school so we can, you know. So maybe there. But I've seen like, you know, in ministry, I mean, I talk to different couples. And for some couples, it does become a thing.
Man,
it does become a thing. Just in terms of how we do things, how we view life, priorities, different things that just because of that gap, it becomes an issue. But But man, for us, probably I think it speaks on her maturity.
Yeah.
Like she's
Yeah.
super, super mature.
Yeah.
Yeah, just way ahead of me on certain things.
Sure.
You know, so that
Sure.
that was helpful. I think that was the helpful thing. That didn't make it a big thing.
Sure.
Yeah, but
That's dope,
yeah,
man.
it's been cool.
As you've been shouting out your wife, on several points, I'm reminded of what close friend of yours, Fiso, brother, said that when you guys were growing up, and it was the trio.
Yeah.
You there too, and him.
Yeah.
You had scoped the perimeter and looked, where the sun touches, and you're like, there's no girls here, Joe.
There's nothing.
And then you guys put a rule to say, 98% are the girls that we don't go for.
Yeah.
But there's the 2%.
Yeah. Hard to get.
Yeah. And you found 2% for Sfiso.
Yeah.
Which is his wife now.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In what ways did Letabo meet the 2% criteria? Because here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
When I look at your wife, I'm like, and I hear Fiso's explanation of the 2%, I'm like, yeah, sure, makes sense.
Yeah.
Like your wife seems, like one of one.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, I see how I'm like, yeah, 1 of 1. I mean, I think my wife is a 1 of 1. And I'm like, man, we could sit, write a book about how to find the 2%,
bro.
Right?
I mean, it's
so I'm asking you to write the intro right now for us.
Man. For me, it was going back because I think there was a sense of you don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
So like once you start looking around and you're like,
Yeah.
and you're like, man, I think I met someone before.
Yeah.
Who was the 2%? Now let me go back. For me, that's how it happened. I sort of went back and I was like, no man, this is like I'm in a jungle here.
Sure.
I need to go back. Because we met earlier. She was still in high school.
Sure.
I was sort of ahead of her.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I like her.
Yeah.
Even in high school. She was into fashion design and whatnot. So in high school, she was like that all run out.
Yeah.
These designers. She was wearing. Yeah. She would buy a jean, cut it up, do something else, do a skirt with the same jean, and now she likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she stood out.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I like her.
Sure.
And then she moved. She went to the States, and I sort of lost contact. And obviously, then I started looking. It's like, At the time, she when she was in the States, she became a Christian because at the time she became a Christian. I became a Christian around the same time.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. And then I see her on social media. She's throwing some verses. Like she's just gonna
come on now.
She's fresh. She's fresh. God is good.
I remember that time. Yeah. Jesus or nothing.
You know what I mean? Like Jesus or nothing. Facebook was still new back in those days.
Yeah.
So everything, whatever you're thinking, you're throwing out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, man. She's like, yo, I'm fresh.
Sure.
Sure. And so I'm throwing DMs. So it's like, yeah, man. And she's just like, who's this? Oh, yeah, when she knew me at the time, but she didn't really know me. She did, this dude from Benoni.
Yeah.
We met.
Sure.
But okay. Oh, he's a Christian. I'm like, obviously, I'm like, oh, I see you. Are you a Christian now? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm also a Christian.
Come on. Christians learn how to math better. Right? Don't use Jesus to gain brownie points.
Looking back, it's just like, dude. She came back and we sort of rekindled what we, our friendship, so to speak.
Sure.
And then she went to study. And at the time, I also was finishing my studies at the time. I was still doing my accounting studies. And she moved to Pretoria to study there. I stayed in Benoni and we sort of lost contact, although we sort of, we'll still come back on weekends and whatnot.
Yeah.
So there was a sense of, man, she's in my life, but she's not really in my life. And therefore, there was complications.
Sure. Sure.
And then that ended up like me or we deciding to say, you know what, let's forget this. Just do your thing. I'll do my thing. You know, and I think like a year or 2 years later, I was like, okay, where are you again? Where are you?
That was my 2%.
Where's my 2%? And coming back and be like, no, actually, this is the 2%.
Sure.
Because like there's just I can't find
Yep.
that. There was just something that I had experienced with her.
Sure.
That I'm just like, man, she was sold out on God. She was herself.
Sure.
She was super creative and like just in terms of like, this is who I am. This is what I like to do. She was. I always say to her now to say like she had a what do you call it? Like a backpacker.
Yeah.
She had like this thing like she's thrifting.
Yeah.
She can live anywhere.
Sure.
She's like, I'm like, yo, I like that.
This is fire.
This is fire, we could like backpack for 3 years.
Come on, man.
I'm preaching the gospel.
Come on,
She's
dog.
doing something on the side somewhere.
Yeah.
So there was something like that.
Yeah.
So there was something unique about it.
Yeah.
That even when we were apart,
Sure.
I was like, man, there was something that I experienced that I can't find anywhere.
Yeah.
And I had to go back.
You had to,
and
man.
I had to go back.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
fortunately, she was still there, man.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, we out.
Yeah. Yeah, pop.
Look at you now.
Yeah.
Look at
man.
you now. Yeah.
That's dope, bro.
So yeah. In fact, when I came back to her, because already things were so murky. I had, my intentions were like I made things complicated.
Sure.
When I went back to her, I just went back with marriage. I was like,
clarity,
listen,
bro.
with clarity.
Yeah.
Man, I really like you. I've looked all over.
Kanya.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not coming back with any
Sure.
trying to see what. I want us to get married.
Sure.
And that was it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Man, that's dope, bro. Thanks for sharing that,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, man.
I definitely want to get into renewal, bro. But before we transition into that, you travel quite a lot. And what happens in those seasons, man? When you're gone, how do you maintain routine? How do you curb her anxieties?
Yeah.
And you're not just leaving a woman who's alone. She has three energizer bunnies.
Yeah.
What happens in those seasons, man, when
Bro.
it's like lead up to that, gonna have to leave again.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this also speaks into the thing that you alluded to earlier on. It was actually Koketso Mlaule who spoke about not wanting to crush his wife's dream as much as she's supporting what he's doing. In fact, another friend of mine, man, put it so eloquently that marriage cannot be the graveyard that our wives' dreams come to die.
Bro.
And so in those moments, what conversations are you having with her? To not make the trip rough. For yourself.
Bro, I think to be honest, I handled badly at the beginning.
Okay.
I didn't think I was gonna travel. I mean, when we started traveling, or when I started traveling, it was just, I thought it was like a once off.
Sure.
And then I thought it was a once off again. And then I'm like, oh, actually this looks like it's gonna be something that, and then we had to then talk about it. Because the first one, the first time I traveled for 3 weeks, she was 7 months pregnant. And I had to travel
3 weeks,
for
bro.
3 weeks.
When your wife is pregnant, 3 hours feels like 30 years. You're doing 3 weeks. That's a lifetime.
That was bad. It was bad. It didn't end well. Like, we had, praise God for good community in the church. Because we had people in the church coming to stay with her. And, just because she couldn't handle it and whatnot. And now, man, I see like pastor friends of mine who handle those things well.
Yeah.
Like there's a good friend of mine who's like, his wife struggles with anxiety and stuff like that, and he has to, travel and we had actually we have a couple of pastors where we meet together like once in a while, and we just have a weekend together, talk, relax, whatnot.
Sure.
Just go to a place where we can pray and think and whatnot, and just share our lives.
Sure.
And this is something we look forward to, so we plan it ahead. And I think it was just the first day, his wife started to say, "Hey, I'm not feeling okay. But I know this trip has been like for months.
Planned,
but I'm just saying,
Sure.
I think the second morning, he was like, guys, I need to go.
Sure. Sure.
And I think for me, that was just like something, okay. Like this guy is like, I know, obviously. And we understood, like, dude, like, go home, And I think I didn't have that at the beginning. At the beginning, it was just like, man, my wife needs to understand, I'm doing this for the family. We're building. Yeah. It's going to get rough and whatnot.
Sure.
But now it's like, man, if I need to come back, I'll come back. If it's like, I can't go, I can't go.
Yeah.
And to be honest, back in those days, like when she was like, I don't think you should make this trip, it was a big thing. It's like,
that's when you're like, if I dare say, get behind me, Satan, I'm going to be divorced here.
Bro,
I'm going to be divorced and dead.
Bro, it was like
Shit.
It's like when a jealous guy. And it's just like,
that's wild,
bro. That's crazy.
That's wild. You didn't say no when I had to go to Pretoria. This thing is big.
Joe, so like it was, back in the days it was like, man, I'm taking everything like,
Yeah.
But now, and even now, like when it comes to overseas trips, we try to, as much as possible, we have to go together.
Sure.
We have to go together.
Sure.
And even with local trips, they shouldn't be more than. It shouldn't be more than. We should be able to put our trips in that.
Sure.
So it can't just be like, okay, I'm going on this, I'm going on that.
Sure.
But like we can't find time for us to go together, to do things together.
Yeah.
So we try to put that in.
That's fair, bro.
And to be honest, that even speaks to, because normally even with regards to vacations for us or doing something together, it has to do with funds. And we don't have money to do a weekend away, but not.
Sure.
And for us, the whole thing of money for us and money for the church has been a big factor.
Sure.
Just to be like, part of church planting is fundraising.
Yeah.
And bro, I could fundraise $1 million for the church.
Yeah. Sure.
And come back home. We don't have money.
Yeah.
And she's like, dude.
I let you leave. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
and what did you come back with?
And it's like, no, that things have to change.
Yeah.
And I think even for me, I was like, no, this can't be right.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And so
that's your first ministry,
that's
man.
the first ministry. So even if like I can't be going all over the place when I can't even have a weekend away with her,
my wife,
with my wife. So those are the things that we started to look into. Okay,
that's tough, bro. Yeah,
let's also make time together. If there is money for this, let's make sure there's money for that.
Yeah.
And let's try and travel together as much as possible. And I think we've had some family that have come in and just even to plan things ahead.
Sure.
To say, hey, for this one, we might not be going together, but here's what's going to happen.
Sure.
And even building towards that, we're going to spend time together. We're going to do this, all of that stuff. Sometimes when I come back, she just give me all the kids. You know?
She's done. And you can't say you tired.
You can no, bro.
No.
Like,
I don't care what you were doing overseas.
Yeah.
You were handle your kids.
Handle your business.
Come
and
on,
the
man.
home and just stuff. you know,
Yeah.
because sometimes you might not even know what's happening in the house, like
Exactly.
the kids' growth, all
Yeah.
of that stuff.
Man.
I mean, I'm not gone for like, I'm not like touring for some artists for like 3 weeks,
Yeah,
3
yeah,
months
yeah.
or whatnot.
Yeah,
But
sure.
like just like for young kids,
They
3
grow
weeks
quick.
they grow quick. You
Bro,
come-
there was a Saturday. I was with my daughter the whole day. I forgot where my wife went. It was the freakiest thing ever. I literally I saw her grow. It was
Yeah.
the most mind-boggling thing. In the hours we were together, like I'm like, what's happening to your body? You know, it's like
Yeah.
you don't see growth.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know why God let me see that thing. Right?
It's
And I was just like, literally, and so I thought maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah.
My wife gets back home. She's like, this chick grow taller from the morning. I'm like, I saw
think
it
I saw
happen. I saw her stretch in front of my own eyes. Like the whole, cause we together and you know, we playing, whatever. She's watching stuff. We're out in the garden playing. And then like a minute later, I'm like, man, what's like, are you growing? I'm like, "Wait, maybe I'm high, right? 2 hours later, I'm like, no way, dog. This chick is stretching,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then my wife confirmed the thing. I'm like, man, that's babies.
Yeah.
You go for 2 days, bro. You've lost
come-
the lifetime, man.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So you want to
crazy.
try and make sure, like, obviously, you want to be there for those moments. Yeah. And even for us, I mean, we're the place where, like, when you're traveling, like a lot of traveling doesn't really have to happen that much.
Sure.
And so we're trying to take it down as much as possible.
Sure.
Just so that we can spend time together and be intentional about family stuff and
Dope,
whatnot.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, bro.
Yeah.
Man.
But it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge that we've had arguments about, you know, tears,
Sheesh.
you know, and we had to work on it.
Yeah.
On how it's gonna look like if we're gonna continue to flourish and be healthy.
Yeah, in that way, bro. Yeah. Because I mean, you know, it's probably language we don't use in our circles, but there is an anointing on you, man. For
Thanks, bro.
leadership, for you know, so I don't think all these other guys call you to come and speak just because they're like, Sihle looks cool. There is, you know, like God's hand over your life, man, in ways that for us who are outside of your own personal growth and your marriage, like we like, man, there's a light that God has on you, you know, that we're seeing, and we like, yeah, like we want that light here. Just bring that light there, bring that light there, bring that light there, you know. And there's a level at which, you know, if I'm gassing you up now, I pray that God like takes it away and doesn't, you know, pump your head. Right? But there's a effortlessness that you move with when you get in a room.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know anyone who looks at you and thinks, that guy's a big head. So there's an effortlessness that you move with. And then when you start speaking, it's like, oh, I get why we called this guy to come do this thing, you know? Like, I get it, right? Yeah. Because again, I think God's hand is on you, man, you know, and we've seen this thing, at least for the time I've known you, you know, I think the first time we kind of interacted properly was Love Joburg.
Oh, yeah.
First time.
Bro. What do we do it?
You know, but even then, and as part of why I also invited Sihle to come to the pod, because there was just with him and Khao, there was like a level of like being in sync, that I was like, man, that's like strange, you know. And then
those dudes, bro, got married at like 23, 21.
Yeah.
And still here.
Yeah, 15 years,
bro.
15 years.
15 years. I actually remember. I mean, I tell Sihle this all the time, and I'm like, I remember an uncle of mine, who I think we were preparing for the wedding, and I was telling my uncle, no, I'm gonna be, you know, I'm buying a suit or something for I'm the best man at my friend's wedding, and Sihle came through at the house, and my uncle saw him, and I was like, oh, this is my friend who's getting married, and my uncle was like, this boy. Like, what is he trying to do? Like, you guys, this marriage is like it's a game. It's a game. Yeah. Come on, guys. You know, and he was just like, he just said some most discouraging stuff.
Sure. This is a weird.
And he's just like,
you're gonna fade.
It's like, hey, my boy, come here. What are you doing? You know, it was one of those. Yeah. And but at the same time,
I can just imagine the black guy. Yeah, you know what?
It's like,
Uhlula mantombazane, ufuna ukuhlala noyi-one, umncane man.
Bro, it was crazy. It was crazy. So I'm really
Jeez.
thankful for them, man. And they just,
Yeah.
man, went for it.
Sure.
And you know, I think like these days we sort of there's so much conversations happening around us that there's some sense of awareness
Sure.
to say, man, we have to put intentionality if we're really gonna do this well.
Yeah.
I mean, those days, like 10 years ago or like 12 years ago, man, you were just doing this thing
On your own,
you know,
bro.
on your
Yeah,
own,
just fishing
you know,
in the
and
dark.
you just, bro, and I'm so thankful for like, you know, platforms like this and others that are just like, man, we can do better.
Yeah.
We can do better, and there are resources. Let's
Definitely.
talk.
Sure.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think it's just blessing about that.
That's great, man.
Blessing, yeah.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. I think going back to that thing, man, I'm like, yeah, just wanna again, you know, thank the Lord for what He's doing in your life. You might not know this, but the reason I met Jesus is because you gave me a hard drive of pirated sermons.
Bro. Put me on blast. I gotta put you on blast.
So people ask me, how did you meet Jesus? I'm like, it was through pirated sermons that a friend of mine. Okay, it's a full hard drive. I think sermons are free, so maybe they're not pirated.
Yeah.
But you had downloaded a bunch of sermons, right? Obviously, it's at the point where I'm like, I've heard about Jesus. I thought I gave my life to Him, but you gave me that hard drive, bro, and I just like munched that thing.
Wow.
You know, that's the first time I saw Eric Mason, obviously Piper,
Yeah.
MacArthur, Washer. Who else was there, man? Vody, I think, was there.
Yeah.
But like I was just munching the stuff every day, you know? And I think at the bottom of that hard drive, when I got to the last sermon, I was like, man, I'm giving my life to Jesus, you know? In the middle of my back room.
Wow.
Like, I see.
Yeah, I remember
I
the
was
room.
like, yeah. I was like, it's all those sermons
I remember
that
the room.
Sihle gave me,
Wow,
dog, right?
man.
And
God.
yeah, in fact, I was telling somebody that story today. So how did you meet Jesus? I'm like, man, let me give you the truncated version. My friend gave me pirated sermons.
Wow.
And I met Jesus in the middle of the night listening to those sermons, bro. Right? And gave my life to the Lord, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, the Lord has been using you in many ways. And now you have renewal.
Yeah.
For those who don't know renewal, where you guys at one?
Yeah.
Man, what's the vision for renewal, bro?
Yeah.
What would you guys do? Because you're doing amazing stuff, man. Yeah. Like, you know, I rarely, if hardly, ever describe churches like in terms of their feel and style.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you guys, and maybe, you know, like you said, if Letabo makes the decisions.
So
I met a dude, I don't know his name. So he was watching this, sorry, but he's from your church.
Okay.
And so he's like, oh, Blaque Nubon, blah, blah, blah. You know, so I'm like, man, like don't make a hype about me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, we need to make hype about you, bro. You know, like you that husband, dude. I'm like, let me tell you something. See the t-shirt you're wearing? I can't say that about many churches. I know where that t-shirt is from. Right? Like you guys have such a signature style, feel.
Yeah.
It's just like, like there's intentionality behind that thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's another conversation for another day. But hence I'm asking, like, man, what's the vision for this thing? You know, so for guys who want to connect with you, where are you? What's the vision for it, bro? Yeah.
So yeah, man, we are in Edenvale, in the Greenstone area. To be specific, we are at the Stone Ridge Shopping Center. Just at the back of it. You'll find us there 10 a.m. on Sundays.
Come on, man.
During the week as well, you can pop in. Someone will be there.
Sure.
So yeah, man, we've been there. I mean, we sort of moved from another place to there. Renewal Fellowship. I mean, I can't really explain on what God has been doing. You know, there are just certain things that you just can't explain. But I know that we've always prayed. I've always prayed, my wife and other just like friends, in terms of like, man, we want to see across the city, not just, you know, across the city. And God is doing that across the city. Churches that have an urban feel, you know, because we're in an urban space. But at the same time, we're Bible teaching, and and we're not trying to go around that. We believe that when the Bible is open, God speaks. And therefore we want to make sure that most of the time when we gather, whenever we gather, we open the Bible and explain and apply it. So that's sort of the main thing that we're trying to do. But at the same time, we're trying to do it in a way that makes sense to people around us. So that's sort of part of it, to say, and I always say this, like when I did my church planting residence in Pretoria with Honor, I saw that with them, to say there was a sense of freshness to ministry. There was a sense of intentionality with things they do. Man, like Honor was intentional about everything. Just in terms of like just everything. And obviously, I mean, you don't want to. There's a sense that you can't have your hand on everything. And some of the things will turn out the way they will turn out. But there is a sense of intentionality to say, man, we want at least people to come through. When they come through, to have some sort of familiar with the type of space it is. There's some sort of intentionality with aesthetic, with some sort of beauty, some sort of something that speaks their language. But at the same time, we are not really about that. You know what I mean? Like, so there's that. We're not really about that. People will come in like 2 months in or a month in, they'll be like, oh, I thought this is just like a cool space. You guys are about the vibe. You know what I mean?
We're about Jesus's vibe.
But actually, no, and we want to really push on biblical literacy. We think that like there's still a long way to go, just in terms of like in our generation and the generation that is coming, in terms of just biblical literacy. You can have like Christians that are been in the faith for 5-10 years, but just an understanding of the story of the Bible is so we want to make sure that we really breach that gap, of that. We want to build a good community, authentic community, where people can be known and loved. Where you can be yourself, where you don't have to, be pretentious and all of that, and just be you, dude. And let's talk and let's get to know you, all of that stuff. And we also like want a space where it could be for even people who are skeptics, people who are wrestling with the faith, people who are. I mean, recently just had a dude come in who's like. I'm just across the road, and I came in. I haven't been in the church for like 6 years. In fact, I don't believe in God, but I enjoy the service. And we're like, man, let's talk. Come through next week. So a sense of that, and a sense of like clarity in what we're saying, clarity of the gospel message, but also a church that is for the city. And I think that's another thing that is probably even new for people. The church is known for our against the culture, against what's happening out there. It's us versus them.
Yeah, man.
Bro, and you know how it is. Like it's we want to say, no, man, actually God has planted us here in this city. How can it be a blessing here? How can we pray for the flourishing of this place? How can we man just appreciate what God is doing there? In different places, whether it's career, different industries that are in the city. So just that approach to say, bro, we are for the city, we are for what's happening here, but at the same time we want to, our main thing is the main thing, which we want to open the Bible and teach and preach it. So that's what renewal is about. There's nothing special in the other side, but at the same time we're trying to do things a bit differently. But we also just praying for God's hand to be at work.
That's good, bro. Yeah, it's great, man. Not to be reactionary, but to to be true to the name. Bring renewal in the city, so that's dope, bro. That's dope, man. Ben, I'm encouraged, brother. Yeah. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
No. I just wanted to say, like, sometimes you can, from where I'm from, anyway. Like, just in terms, like, it's either or in terms of intentionality, a sense of beauty, aesthetic.
Mm.
It's either that, and people can get carried away with that.
Sure.
We are this church that is this, that is cool, that is that.
Yeah.
Or you can be this church that is Bible. We don't care.
We don't care. Yeah.
We don't care about all of these worldly things.
The chairs have holes. We
You
don't
know what
care.
I mean? Yeah, we just.
You need your ears.
Know,
to listen.
Who cares if the mic works?
Yeah.
Preach the gospel.
Did George Whitfield have a mic? He didn't.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Martin Luther didn't have a mic.
And guys are just like, we don't care about anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, not really.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't work like that.
Sure.
There's a you want to put those things together.
Yeah,
and,
man.
and to be honest, I think it even goes to your theology of creation.
Come on.
Just in terms of like, man, if you against just the world and what God has created, the beauty, the culture.
Come on, bro.
Obviously there are sinful things around all of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is like the beauty that God has given us.
Come on, bro.
We are made in the image of God. Sin has marred that image of God, but we're still made in the image of God.
Sure.
Same with the world.
Sure.
The world has God's beauty. All of that stuff. Sin is at work in what we do, all of these things.
Sure.
But there's so much beauty out there.
Come on, bro.
And if we can just like invest in that, put that, and just say, man, this is the beauty that God has given us, and we put that with our message.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
So what Paul says in Philippians, brothers, let your minds be on things that are good, that are noble, that are praiseworthy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, whatever's praiseworthy, what's beautiful, what's good, what's noble, man, use those things. Use those things, brother.
Yeah.
In closing, bro, I mean, I just, your story is as much as Letabo's story.
Yeah.
You are a husband because of her.
Yeah.
Yes, God gives you the gift, but He's chosen her for you to express that gift of being a husband. Like when you think about all that you've been able to achieve by God's grace, particularly with the work that you're doing, man, how would you shout your wife out, man? You already do, which, bro, I'm not putting you on the spot, bro. I would put you on the spot if I gave you a number. Give us 15 things.
Yes. Bro, man, my wife is amazing. And she's always been. Sure. I think it's only now that I'm like, okay, she's like, super amazing.
Yeah. It's fine wine. She matures like fine wine, not like milk.
Like fine wine is like, oh, okay. Like, dude, you like actually like dope.
Yeah.
Like she's and because to be honest, I think I grew in my role as husband, like in terms of intentionality, in terms of knowing what I'm doing. I always thought like I'm just gonna coast this thing. It's just gonna we're gonna be fine.
That's about great.
We're gonna be fine. Yeah. She'll be like, let's talk about this. We don't have to talk about this. We're gonna be good. Let's talk about finances. Don't worry, we're gonna be fine. God's gonna provide.
God has covered us.
What are the plans for this and that? We're gonna be fine. Dude, that was me for years.
The playbook for husbandhood, according to Sihle, 2 pages. The first page, we are. Second page, going to be fine.
We're gonna be all right.
As the great urban poet, Kendrick Lamar said.
We're gonna be all right. That was my motto in terms of my marriage. But she really put me on.
Sure.
She really put me on, like nudging me gracefully.
Yeah.
To say, hey, I know you want a thriving marriage. I know you want it.
Yeah.
But like what you want and what's happening and how you're doing this,
how are you showing up?
It's not gonna get there. So let's put in some work.
Yeah.
It's gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
Presence is key. Just spending time with, just like, how was your day? How you doing? You look good. All of that stuff that I'm like, dude, you look good.
Why should I tell you?
Why should I tell you? Why should I tell you? She's like, she literally taught me that stuff. Like, I think I preached a sermon recently and I quoted this, can't remember the author, but who says, love loves to be told what it knows.
Sure.
And he's talking about something else.
Sure.
But I was just like, man, that's the thing. Like, the person that you love to be told what they already know that you love. It's part of it. You know? So I think for me, I had to learn that. To say, just tell her. Just ask her. You know where this is gonna go. And for me, it was like sometimes I'm just like, I want to ask my wife, how was your day? But I know that's gonna take 2 hours. So I'm not gonna ask it.
I don't have 2 hours.
I don't have 2 hours. I love to ask you.
But are you gonna get us into trouble?
Oh, bro.
You know what my wife said?
Oh, man.
My wife catches herself and she's like, have I been talking too much? I'm like, no. And here's the thing. I'm like, yeah, you are talking too much, right? But to your point of learning, I had to be like, there's a part of me that enjoys just having you talk, you know? And but I'm like, the first time it just smacks you in the face.
Bro,
like,
it is just like,
oh.
Yeah. And I think for me, also another thing that I had to learn is that like just because something doesn't mean a lot to me, it doesn't mean a lot to her. So just like for me, like we dudes, we just not. If you tell me you love me 3 times a week, 2 times, like it's like I'm gonna keep. It's just I'm going.
That's
like,
great.
It's great. I'm not gonna lose my mind about it or whatnot, or what other things that for me are not that big. But for her. So I'm like, man, just because it's not big for me, doesn't mean it's not big for her. And therefore, I need to do that. I need to. Man, she taught me a lot of that stuff in a gentle way. I'm still learning it. But I'm just so grateful for that. Because I think we could see the common denominator. We want a good marriage. We want a thriving marriage. But at the time, I'm not willing to put in what I should. And therefore, so just big up love, just for teaching me that. That actually, man, you need to put in what you want, and she's been amazing. She's amazing.
Still, man.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Sihle Xulu.
Yeah.
Come on now. Bro, appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, thanks, man. This
is great, bro.
Thanks,
this
brother.
is great. As I was saying, like, I think obviously now there's a sense of, things are popping up in different places. But man, I just appreciate that we have these conversations. We have places where we can bounce stuff, And when I'm having those rough weeks or whatnot, I'm like, man, let me just go back and scroll on this podcast. Maybe Blaque, they spoke about this.
What is this thing?
What is this thing? Have you guys covered this yet? All of that stuff, bro. Because, it gets real. It's just like, let me just check. But like, man, we have that. We have that. So big up for that. Big up for that. Bro. I want to ask you that though. Like, what was the idea before? Like for this? Like, I think, man, this was it's a big thing. It's helping a lot of people. I mean, I don't know how you guys get. I know obviously the sense of views and whatnot. That you can sense on, how people interact. But sometimes I don't think you get the reality. The impact. But like, what was the shift for you? Like that I really, I don't think sometimes you can do these things and it can come across like you know it all and whatnot. And that's not what it gives with this. But like, obviously there could be a fear to say, I'm not going to talk about the husband, like I'm this husband, whatnot. But what is it for you?
And I think maybe to even kick it off by where you ended now, this has been such a great learning curve for me and my wife. So every time we have a conversation here and, she watches this thing back, she's like, I didn't know that about you, or I didn't know you think like this about this thing, and sometimes it's like, man, it's a revelation that there's something bad, but sometimes it's a revelation that, man, like this thing is actually good. I didn't know that you see things that way. Let me, meet you there, or whatever the case is. So it's been redemptive for us. So man, I don't sit here as a form of authority at all. And I always say that the dude that sits across me is qualified because he's a husband like me. No expert in any other thing, In fact, I remember somebody was like, man, you must just get ordinary dudes here. We don't want like pastors or actors or whatever, I'm like, listen to any other episode and show me where the person has pulled from their profession to be a husband. They haven't. They've just been a husband. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so, man, I've been learning.
Yeah.
I've been growing quite a lot from this exchange. And then 2 reasons why we created it. You know, one is just my own story.
Yeah.
You know, and you know it. You know, Pop's not being there.
Yeah.
And him being there for the first 15 years, and just the impact that left on me. You
Yeah.
know, and he was present, man. My dad loved my mom hard.
Yeah.
You know, cared for us. And then just when he bounced, that flip that happened with me,
Yeah.
I just didn't want that for your son. I didn't
Yeah.
want that, you know, I didn't want your son to grow up without a dad and then marry my kid.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's
I'm like,
bringing problems.
Yeah. So let me speak to the dad now.
Yeah.
Before I talk to him. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Don't leave.
No.
Be at home. Love your son so that he can grow up and be a man to love my daughter properly, right?
Yeah.
Because I know just not having a dad and how that was, and I also know the flip side of that. So I actually call my life story like an unfortunate privilege.
Yeah.
You know, it was unfortunate when my dad left, but there was a privilege that came with his absence.
Yeah.
Because I could objectively see both sides.
Yeah.
You know, him being there and just the benefit and the just the flourishing I experienced.
Yeah.
And then the decay I also experienced after you know his departure. And so I'm like, man, I don't want that for black boys. I don't want that for girls.
Yeah.
And so how do I add on to the, you know, the mending of that, the redemption of that?
Yeah.
And I realize that the husband occupies a very unique role.
Yeah.
You know, that single men don't, or fathers who are not married don't.
Yeah.
You know, so for you as a married husband, father, man, you speak into these 2 roles in ways that no one else can speak into. And it goes back to my definition earlier on of what a husband is. You have to be present all the time in all of who you are, compared to a CEO, compared to a single guy, compared to a father who's not a husband. Right?
Yeah.
A father who's not a husband could have his fatherhood turned on.
Yeah.
And is not in a romantic relationship. And so he doesn't have to lead in that regard.
Yeah.
But you have to. You have to. You know, you constantly turned on when it comes to your wife. You turned on when it comes to your kids. The leadership that you have at church will never compare to the leadership you have at home.
Yeah.
It's different, you know, and you only get to uniquely experience that if you're a husband, you know. So I was like, man, we need to talk to those guys. And then secondly, that husband is Jesus, man.
Yeah.
You know, and how he obviously loves his bride and calls us, you know, as husbands to emulate him and how we love our brides, you know. So I'm like, man, he's that husband, bro, you know.
That's good, bro.
And those are, you know, the 2 reasons. So similar to what you're saying, if I'm going to love the city, man, this is how I'm going to, people are having podcasts, people are having conversations. You know, I could sit here and have a reactionary podcast, man. You know, singleness sucks. You know, long-term relationships are whack. And it's like, it's okay. It's easy to criticize, you know, but it's harder to actually put in the work and plow for the sake of flourishing. You know, it's easy to be a commentator and stand on the grandstands, bro, and be like, that sucks. It's harder to get in the game and be like, man, we all agree that there's things that suck. How do we come together? You know, you have a different worldview, but man, we kind of realize that, like, if we have thriving families, regardless of what you believe or what I believe, if we have thriving families, man, South Africa is going to be a different place. So how do we get in the field and actually plow together? You know what I mean? Bro. So, yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Appreciate it, bro.
Lastly, I'm just thinking about it as you say this, that we're going to be having like a marriage cohort in our church for a while. And we haven't had something like that for like anything on marriage for past 2 years.
Sure.
And part of that is, you know, we have a lot of singles in our church. I speak to a lot of singles, and there's a narrative, and part of it is really true, that the church is really like marriage centric.
Yes.
You know, the church loves marriage.
Yes.
If you're not married, you're like a second-hand Christian.
Sure.
You know, you can be a CEO, but if you're not married in the church, they don't care about you. They don't care about your PhD.
Nah.
Are you married?
Yeah. When they intro you, hey, this is Sihle Xulu's husband.
Yes.
They'll never say, hey, this is Temba and he's single.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Never.
It's just like, so, you know, in my conversations with like singles and others, it's like, man, you know, some of it is unhealthy,
Sure.
and then people feel like feel awkward. Da,
Sure.
da, da. And then I was just like, man, I don't want us to do that. I don't want us to be that church that is just like, man, you know, people are single, shame on them and whatnot. And therefore, we kept pushing doing stuff for marriage.
Sure.
Because we just don't want to be insensitive and
Yes.
this and that
Yes.
and whatnot. To a point where I'm like, man, no, actually, that could be true.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that we need to neglect the marriages that are here.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You can't swing the
We
pendulum.
can't, no, you can't just go on the other side as well to be like, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So now we're not even taking care of the marriages, and we're not even trying to put marriage in any platform.
Sure.
Because we're trying to move away from this.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that has been just pastorally, there's been a struggle that I've been. But now I'm like, man, actually, no, I don't have to neglect this gift that God has given to certain people in the church.
Yeah.
And we need to nourish that, and we need to invest in that as much as we invest in the others.
Come on, bro.
But I think, bro, sometimes you just want to be so sensitive that you end up
You miss everything.
you miss everything.
Yeah,
You miss
you
everything
want to care for these guys, but you end up not caring for anyone.
for anyone.
Sure.
Yeah. No, so look, no, man. So big up for that, man. I think
yeah.
for this is it's been part of just me reviving that.
good,
To say,
bro.
actually, we
That's
do
good.
need healthy marriages. We need to be investing in this, specifically also in the church. Yeah.
In fact, when I do marriage talks, that what you just described is my intro.
Okay.
That's my intro. Where I'm like, man, marriage is important.
Yeah.
It's a very unique relationship.
Yeah.
But we can't speak of its uniqueness at the expense of singleness.
Yeah.
Can't, bro. Like,
Yeah.
God is doing something different with single people as He is with us. So
Yeah.
man,
Cool,
thanks, bro.
Thanks, man.
Doc.
Nice one.
Appreciate you, man. Please
Cheers,
thank
bro.
El Xulu.
Xulu.
Grace's wife is El Queasy.
El Queasy.
Yeah. so I'm like, what's this Colombia mafia, Mexican
like,
cartel, Abo El Xulu, Abo El Queasy. I'm like,
I didn't see the connection. There we go. She gets it from.
yeah. Cause I listen, to my detriment, and I should end this thing now. But like, I'm a Pablo Escobar. Like, I shouldn't say fan because that guy was evil.
Yeah.
But
I get you.
But when I see El,
it's like
my
El
mind goes to
Chapo.
Colombia. Yeah, El Chapo.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in a different life I was Colombian, bro. That's me. I'm like, man, if I believed in reincarnation,
You'll be in Colombia.
me,
For God,
come on, dog. Plata o plumo.
Oh, man. All right.
That's me, dog. Anyway, man, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This was super dope. I suspect this is probably the longest episode we've had of this podcast. So please leave your thoughts, man. Leave your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We appreciate your comments and just feedback and even things that we need to double tap on. If you want us to have Sihle again, please put there. So I just send them the comments, but it's not me. It's the people, right? This was super dope. So please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell so that you're updated on every episode we drop. Every Wednesday we're dropping 11:30. We are right here. For me and the team here, we'll see you next week Wednesday. All right? Peace.